Let's do which topic we should do. Let's do the Gringo Pappy one. Let's do Gringo Pappy. Boom.
Me and you remember when we met? That's how we first met after the whole don't count thing. That was like one of the first questions I asked. Like, you were actually super cool about breaking it down, like, because me and you started at the same time. That's why it's crazy when people give you shit. Because like, could you imagine you put out your?
It's interesting how LA works, isn't it? So they kind of met on, I wouldn't say bad terms. Brendan is the one that started it, kind of out of nowhere. Brian talks about this guy on the pod. He mentions about how strong he is. Oh my god, he can lift so many weights and stuff. He does this fucking shoulder press and he can lift this amount. It's crazy. They get the video up on Instagram. They watch it together on the pod, and Brendan has a silent jealousy, rage-filled moment where he's looking at this guy who's clearly stronger than him, and he's pissed off about it. So he just starts doing the whole don't count thing because he's wearing fucking wrist wraps as a way to kind of, insecurity, to kind of soothe his insecurities. So they kind of met off on a bad foot. So I find it kind of interesting now that, however many years later, he's now filing copyright takedowns on Brendan's behalf against Unique, and now he's kind of like he's doing these like almost rehearsed suck up segments of the show to try and make Brendan appear like the good guy, like he's not that bad. It's our brother. Like you saw how this guy was when he didn't know who you were, right? When he wasn't aware of how close you and Brian were, when you were of no use to him, you saw how he treated you. Now all of a sudden you're in the inner circle. You're suddenly now running cover for him. It's a funny place, LA. It's a funny place, that whole stand-up comedy scene, and how quickly these guys start sucking off each other. 1 minute they weren't friends. Next minute he's literally filing copyright takedown requests on Brendan's behalf against Unique. Fucking crazy.
Your Showtime special, what? 2 years into fucking comedy?
Yeah.
I was performing at laundromats for no one paying attention in New York City. Just nobody.
I sold out Spreckles Theater twice.
If someone offered me
that I think says everything about stand-up comedy, that he somehow sold out the Spreckle Theater twice. That's what 1,500 capacity, 1,500 capacity theater. That's probably one of the reasons why stand-up comedy is it's so shit right now, because people like Brendan at one point were able to sell out theaters solely based on his fame alone, solely based on the association with Rogan, and having absolutely nothing to do with his ability to be funny, because we know he's not funny. At one point he sold out a theater that was 1,500 capacity. Can you imagine? Absolutely crazy.
Millions of dollars to fucking not be performing to people who weren't paying attention. Fucking anybody who says they wouldn't do that is a fucking liar.
No, I think it's
no, that's not true. Most people with sense would see the long game and not do it. The only reason why you would do the Showtime thing is a bit maybe different, because I think, again, he's never confirmed this, I don't know if this is true, but I'm just guessing. I'm assuming the Showtime deal, he took it probably more so, less to do with the money and more so to do with the opportunity to join the Showtime family and lead the MMA thing. Because people forget, when he signed with Showtime and did the special, it was also the launch of his show, Below the Belt. That was meant to be like a mix of like combat sport coverage. He's meant to do boxing, he's meant to do MMA across the board, not just UFC, Bellator, everything. But obviously in the end he ended up not doing it because he's fucking lazy and shit at his job. But if that's the reason why he took the Showtime deal, fair enough. Like you say, hey, I had to take it. They offered me a special, but they also offered me the chance to be the first show on Showtime covering MMA, so I had to take it. But I think if you're a real comedian and you see the long game, there's no way when you're 2 years in telling shitty jokes and you've got like a shaky hour where you're ready to do a special, because that's going to last forever. That material is going to last forever. That video is going to last forever. You don't want to have that out there, so you'd probably reject it just because you're not ready to be presented to the world in that way. But he took it because his heart wasn't really in it and he wanted the money anyway. So I get why he did it, but let's not act like everybody would have done the same thing. That's not true. Not everybody's motivated by money.
It's like
To your credit, though, you always called yourself the CM Punk of comedy.
I was just gonna say that. Like, I would start the set if anyone came. I'm like, I'm the CM Punk of comedy.
Yeah.
Like, you guys would be doing the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, CM Punk got all that shit. It's like, man, if you could, you wouldn't want to just jump into the UFC and take a stab at it.
It's not just
No, you wouldn't though. Why would you want to do that? Most people wouldn't want to do what CM Punk did when he would jump to the UFC. You'd want to train a bit. You'd want to get your skills up a bit. You wouldn't want to just jump in for the sake of jumping in because the money's too good to turn down. Maybe if your family situation is different, cool. But again, not everybody is. I like that. Brendan is the guy that told us. Oh, he told. I think who he told. I don't know who he told. Who it was in the pod. Maybe it was Nick. Oh, I don't start any. Or just his stuff. His thing. He always says, I never start a business out of money. Everything I do is something that I enjoy doing and I'll do for free. Well, it seems like you are very motivated by money, because essentially he's saying here that, yeah, of course I'm going to do it. They offer me enough money. It's like, it's not always about money though, isn't it? Like, look what has happened though, by the way. Would he actually take the money back and have a better reputation? Because I think part of the reason why his reputation and part of the reason why he's widely hated is because of the, I wouldn't say it's a major part, but it definitely is a part of the fucking shortcut that he took to stand up. And also he's not being truthful about how braggadocious and egotistical he was when he did it anyway. It wasn't like he was like, humble. He was talking like, yeah, no, I'm different. I'm special. I don't have to do open mics. The way I come into the game is different. I'm going to change the game up. I'm doing it different. He thought he was actually special, which is hilarious to say the least. But yeah, not everyone's motivated by money, in short.
is that you were also offered a lot of money, like really early. So like you were offered a lot of money by Showtime.
So much money.
And it was like, and I was like, I remember going, no, you can't do this. But you were like,
that's an interesting quote, by the way. The mentioning and the bragging of the money now in order to cope that your comedy career was terrible. Like, cool, congratulations, you made loads of money. People make loads of money doing loads of things. I think the fact that he's got two specials that are rated as the lowest two specials, some of the two of the lowest specials that's ever been rated on fucking IMDb and stuff, that's gotta not be a good feeling. So yes, you made a lot of money and shit, and well done, congratulations, but you probably want to have at least one special be rated highly or be rated okay, to have both of them be under 2 stars and shit is like, ooh.
But it's a lot of money. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
Dude, at 2 years in, I got offered one time $14.75, and it was to perform at a Greek pizzeria in Astoria, and it wasn't a comedy room. It was people eating dinner, wanted nothing to do with us. And then on top of that, there was also a surprise. This guy was just getting out of jail, so a surprise party for some guy who just got off Rikers Island. So in the middle, I got up, bombed fucking horribly, but I took my $14.75. Then the girl went up after me, and the guy was coming in at the same time. So in the middle of her set, they said, shut the fuck up. And they turned the lights out on her and their mic off so they could give a guy a surprise party. Like, that's what you do at the beginning. So if someone offered me $40, I would have done a Showtime special.
He's also wearing panda dunks. He's a bit of a lame in it, this Nick Simmons. He's a bit of a lame. He looks like he's on the trajectory to be another Jeff Dye. I kind of don't blame him, right? If Nick Simmons actually is super passionate about stand-up, I kind of don't blame this 180 he's done on Brendan, and now he's sucking him off and being his best friend and running cover for him and doing takedown requests on fucking Unique's channel with the Patreon video and shit. I kind of don't blame him for doing that sort of stuff, because the truth is this: if you do suck up to Brendan, if you do placate him, if you do make good with him and try and be his bestie, it does work. It is beneficial. We've seen what it's done for Luis J. Gomez. We've seen what it's done for a bunch of people. Like, it actually does work. For whatever reason, Rogan seems to take notice of this sort of thing. So don't be surprised when you see Nick Simmons on Rogan sometime soon. Obviously, he's got Callan in his corner. He's closer to Callan than Brendan. But I don't blame him too much for what he's doing, right? It's a little bit cringe. It's a little bit lame, because like I said, they started off on a bad foot, and essentially Brendan hated him just because he was lifting weights better than what Brendan did off the back. And now all of a sudden he's his best friend, but it's like, come on, man, let's not act like this guy is like a chill guy, good guy. Like, because I feel like Nick's trying to do the whole thing about, Brendan's misunderstood. He's trying to push that angle. It's like, is he misunderstood though? He kind of hated you for no reason. Like, don't you see why people don't like him?
Yeah, it was a weird time, but I also get it. It's like there's comics 10, 15 years in who don't get to that level. And I'm 2 years in and it's fucking popping. I'm selling out every weekend, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you gonna do though?
Dude, we started
That's the type of understanding and of perspective he probably needed at the time. He didn't have it, bro. That type of humility and that type of understanding and that type of objectivity he didn't have at the time. He wasn't talking like that at the time. At the time, he was acting as if he was special, as if this was, you know, like essentially kind of rubbing it in other comedians' faces that he was doing so well so early in his career in stand-up. He wasn't talking like that in stand-up. When he first started, let's not confuse. He was not talking like that.
You're telling me you
Packing
wouldn't?
cars. I mean, Cobb's packing it.
Oh my God.
I mean, literally, like
Theater selling out Wilbur. It's like twice.
I was doing
Crazy.
check spots at LOL Comedy Club in Times Square at that time. I would have killed to do that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but
It was
he
wild.
was so already kind of famous. Like,
Yeah.
UFC, the podcast was number 4 in the world, maybe number 2 at one point.
Yeah.
Like, we were huge.
TFATK was number 2 podcast at one point. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was true. I wouldn't talk about that anymore now if that was me. They were number 2 podcast at one point. Now look at them. Now it's on a mezzanine floor inside a garage, inside a warehouse unit somewhere in the middle of Austin. They probably sat in a room full of carbon monoxide and, you know, engine oil and all sorts of different sort of car parts all over the place. And Brendan has to buy views in order for the numbers to look respectable. Fucking hell. And a lot of that fucking fall off is definitely self-inflicted. Obviously some of it has to do with the comedy bubble and and maybe just fatigue, right? There's probably gonna be a little bit of podcast fatigue there too. People just seeing these guys' faces being omnipresent for so long. But to go from being the second or one of the top 5 podcasts out there to being where they are now, oof, that's a tough one.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? Because the blessing is you're doing stand-up, you're gonna make a shit ton of money, but you're really not ready for it. And it's a tough gig.
It's like everything else. It takes a long time.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's a long time.
But I don't like, I can see how people would get upset. It'd be like if, you know, a kid just started baseball and 2 years in, he's fucking starting for the Dodgers. Like, bro, there's guys that work their whole lives. Like, I get it. And the kid's like, what do you want me to do?
It's also like, because most people don't realize the first.
So it's twofold. It's the fact that he cut corners. It's the fact that he acted like Billy Big Balls when he got the cut corners. And it's also, I think, mostly the reason, I think if you're a comedian, you'll be pissed off. He was never funny. He was never funny. Can you imagine how, like, think back to how bad You'd Be Surprised was when it first dropped, right? Brendan's first special. Then imagine how bad he must have been when he first started. Because we got the sort of like the finished version of that set, right? In that fucking special. But he was only a couple of years in. Can you imagine those first couple of years when he was performing at the Comedy Store and these other places, how bad he must have been? Could you imagine how it must have felt if you're a stand-up in LA, grafting, trying to get some stage time at the fucking Comedy Store, but is being fucking dominated and taken over by Rogan and his friends. And then Brendan gets up on stage and he's like a couple of years in and he's getting minutes on the stage that you can't even fucking wipe, you can't even brush. And he's terrible. Of course you'd hate him. You have every reason to hate him. And I think the fans too, because the fans listen to his comedy podcast. The fans are falling in love with comedy because of these comedians. They're starting to respect the art because of what the comedians are saying, and they're starting to understand the intricacies of it. So of course the fans also are gonna not like you because they're like, hold on, my favorite comedian tells me that in order to be part of the Comedy Store, to perform there, you gotta be 10 years plus in. It's like a fucking high level place. All these guys are Marines and they're 250. So why is this guy performing? So I think he's kind of, you know, he's kind of like, not underestimated, but he's kind of dismissing how bad he looked at the time, you know, to everybody across the board, and how much it would have affected their perception of him and why they probably would have started not liking him from there.
Like 10 years usually for comedy, is like the worst internship you've ever done in your life.
it is.
Where you're getting paid fucking nothing, and you would dream about a gig where it pays you $1,000.
But now, even to elaborate on that, now think about it. Most comics, for the first 10 years, no one's really seeing it. Like you can work things out. There's
Behind
no
closed
pressure.
doors.
Nobody knows who you are. Now go over to my lane where I can't go anywhere.
No, and you're doing the fucking
You
store
go to
and
Ireland,
shit.
Conor McGregor would show
Dude,
up
I
at the
can't
show.
go to open mics. Like that's not even an option for me. So like,
But why is that not an option? That doesn't make sense. He's acting like he was Justin Bieber famous back then. You weren't that famous, brother. Yes, you were probably more famous and maybe more well known than he is nowadays. I think now he kind of suffers from more infamy than he does from fame. But he's acting like he was literally couldn't walk out of his house of his door or the door of his house. It wasn't that deep. He could have easily done open mics when he first started and got his kind of experience and sharpened his skill set and his comedy that way. He didn't do it because he didn't feel like he needed to. Because Rogan was already giving him time at the fucking Comedy Store. He was getting booked to perform quite a lot at the Ice House. He was selling out tickets, doing his own TFATK shows. So he didn't feel like he needed to do the open mics because I remember at the time that one of the law is that he kind of felt it was beneath him. He kind of felt it was beneath him to do open mics. Oh no, my open mics are the TFATK shows. My open mics are the live shows. It's like, no, why? How is that an open mic? Performing to a home crowd that loves you because they're fans of you. They're going to laugh if you fucking fart into the microphone. That isn't going to improve your comedy, surely. Surely you want to go to a hostile crowd. You want to perform in front of a hostile audience, sorry. You want to perform in front of people that don't know who you are. But no, he did the opposite. And now he's trying to rewrite history in real time, which is like, it didn't quite happen that way, my friend.
anywhere I go, it's like I'm getting criticized. And then I got to keep up with the game and post, clips and stuff for the clubs to sell tickets. So then I got to post.
He didn't, by the way, another lie. He didn't post clips for the majority of his stand-up career. He purposely didn't post clips because he knew he was shit. He didn't want to get criticized. He kind of avoided that whole thing. He didn't. It took him a long time to start posting clips. It took him a long I think maybe the person I might convince him, I think if I remember correctly, was maybe Schultz and the other guy. What's his fucking name? The Filipino guy with the bald head that was going out with what's her fucking name? He was going out with Chelsea Handler for a bit. I think that's the guy. I think when he used to come on sometimes on TFATK, he was big on like promotion and marketing shit. I think he's the one that suggested to Brendan, start pulling more clips up. But for a long time, he didn't want to put any clips. So this is definitely a lie.
Clips that people are comparing to Theo.
Well,
and
you were
D'Elia,
also thrown into think about this.
That's it, Joe Coy, yeah. I think a combination of Joe Coy and Andrew Schultz kind of convinced Brendan to start posting more stand-up clips. But before, he didn't want to post them because he didn't want people to, take the piss out of how bad his special, how bad his material was.
He's been doing stand-up for 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And when you say you were in for 2 years, really I could probably count.
Kid Lives.
Yeah, I mean, but
Which
you
isn't-
probably performed, and I'm not joking. By the time he shot that Showtime special, I'm going to make a call. I bet you he performed a total of 40 times.
Yeah.
But that's not good though. I don't know why he's saying as in that's not a good thing, because we know the truth is that Brian and Rogan strongly advised Brendan not to do the Showtime special. And he decided to do it anyway because he thought Rogan and Brian were jealous of him and weren't trying to give him good advice. They were instead trying to hold him back because they were jealous that he was making it so quickly in stand-up. So he should have probably never taken that Showtime deal because he did 40. He performed stand-up 40 times before he got the special, right? That's the worst. That's such a bad thing to admit. So he still took the deal even though he knew he wasn't prepared. That's fucking hilarious.
Maybe.
Fuck outta here.
I'm not joking. Maybe. By the way,
kind of
maybe.
impressive.
That,
Right?
yeah.
To say the least.
Don't get me wrong.
To say the least.
It's not impressive at all. It's not impressive at all. It's only impressive if you're funny. It's not impressive if you're terrible to take a deal with Showtime because they want you to do because Showtime did the deal with him because he was at that time famous. He was at that time closely associated with Rogan. He was also they also gave him, it was part of a package deal. hey, do the special. We're also gonna want to make you our marquee guy, our lead guy for the MMA stuff. But it's not something to brag about. I'd say I wouldn't be too proud about it because ultimately, it turned him into a bit of a laughing stock.
The hour, if you compare it to Schultz and Theo, I get it. But now,
Yeah, but those guys have been doing. Hold on.
Well, here's my thing though.
That's like 4 weeks of stand up in New York.
Dude, show. But hold on, film their first. So have them when they were very first starting. Have them do an hour.
But no one does that though. You fucking idiot. No one films an hour 2 years into doing stand up. You shouldn't do that, really. You should probably aim for about 5. I don't know. I'm not a stand-up comedian. I'm not a fucking expert in this field. But I would assume if you want to give yourself the best opportunity to do something funny, to do something or to record something that you're going to be proud of, or something that best represents you, you should probably wait for about 5 years. Maybe at most, I don't know, if you're really talented, maybe 3. But 2 years in, 18 months in, and you're filming a special. And you're recording it and putting it on Showtime. Of course, it's going to be terrible. Even more so for Brendan, which people forget. He was never a comedian. He just did it because it paid well. It was like another hustle. He was never meant to be a comedian. He was never a class clown. He was never really that funny. He clearly can't speak correctly. You know what I mean? Which I'm assuming probably would affect his ability to write good jokes in the first place as well. So there was loads of things up against him that were going up against him in terms of being a successful comedian. Plus he started really late. He started like in his late 30s or something. Never, you know what I mean? Which is kind of hard to kind of figure it out, especially if you've never been a class clown. So it's a weird thing to brag about and be proud of. I'm not going to lie. Very strange.
Oh, good luck.
I'm just saying. They're like, well, I get the heat, but you also got to give me a little credit.
No.
Not really. Not really. That's an insane way to twist things, bro. Oh, what about if you made everybody else record their special when they first started? But no one would do that. No one would record a special of themselves 1 year in. Like, who would do that? Who would record a special 2 years out? Doesn't make any sense.
Had done literally, I really think the number is maybe 40 shows. If that's why I was like, you can't do this. But
too cocky.
You were also thrown.
It's crazy to say don't do this,
but think about what he was thrown into. Like he would every Tuesday or every weekend at the.
It's not really crazy though. Again, I think Nick Simmons he's coming from a point because he already said in there, I got paid $14. Maybe he's coming from a point of like not making much money from stand up and he's still kind of struggling, or he's still kind of like fighting his way up and trying to make it happen. So he's probably just thinking, oh my god, if someone offered me that, I'll take it. But it does actually cause long-term damage. Even if you're funny, it's going to really taint how people are going to look at you, unfortunately. So you have to be a lot more, you have to really take your time with these sort of things. It's not really something you should just jump into hastily, really. It just doesn't make any sense, really. I get why he did it. Again, I get it if it's going to be a package deal to do MMA stuff, but let's not act like it was not a bad decision, because it clearly was. It was partly bad and partly good. Let's just say that.
Comedy Store. He was thrown into a lineup with people like myself who'd been doing it for 20 years. Joe Rogan.
You guys were
Bill
the murderers,
Burr.
bro.
We were murderers
of that time.
And I'm including myself in
Murderers again. Were you guys funny? No, murderers.
that. We were murderers. We would go up there. It would be all of us who had been doing it forever, and at the peak, we were all at the peak. We were all at the boiling point of our sets.
Everyone was in their prime.
Killing. And then this fucking guy would get up in the middle of all that. Anybody want to try that? Anybody want to try that after they've been doing stand-up for a year?
By the way, notice how Brian hasn't said he was funny. So I guess even amongst them, he was never funny. Notice how Brian never said. But what people miss is that he was really funny on the stage. He was doing some really good stuff in between our sets.
Powerful bunch.
Bro, he dropped a classic comedy special after 40 shows. Only second to Gringo Poppy a year later. He is an American legend. The Bruce Springsteen of comedy.
Basically, he is. If you think about it. I always said he is partly an American dream. Unironically, he is an American dream. Being able to get away with it whilst being extremely untalented, like getting the most out of life, because he's gotten quite a lot out of life despite being probably low double-digit IQ. No, he's not being able to speak English, although that's his fucking mother tongue and shit. Probably struggles to read and write a little bit too. And he's done pretty well for himself. I think that is the American dream in a way. That is kind of the American dream. Despite all of my setbacks, despite all of my shortcomings, despite all of my fucking hurdles, you know, I'ma live this life good. And he did. For a period of time, he did really live life fucking well. So yeah, maybe he did win in that respect. But this is hilarious. I just love how Brian hasn't once said, oh yeah, he was funny though. He was really funny. Gringo Pappy and You'd Be Surprised don't really accurately reflect how funny he was at that time. I've not heard Brian say that once.
Here, please. Raise your hand if you guys want to step into that.
Let me know how it goes.
See what happens to you. But to your credit, because you were this giant fighter who had the balls, who would get up and tell a story, and you found your way through. And by the way, your sets were not bad up there. They just weren't.
They weren't bad. That's not good. I don't think that's a good review. They weren't that bad. So were they funny though? So this is fascinating, by the way, right? Everybody at that time was saying that he was not funny. He didn't deserve the position and the Showtime special. And this is a fucking joke. And I remember a lot of these guys, Rogan especially and Brian, were chastising the fans for calling him out. And at that time, I don't think we had any material to go off. A lot of people in the subreddit, a lot of people in the comments had no material because he wouldn't post any clips. The special wasn't even out at that time. People were calling them out for like, how are you enabling this nonsense? And the whole time they were there watching him perform bad stand-up and never said anything. Never once pulled him to the side and said, hey man, you got to work on this a lot more. You got a long way to go. Like, that was really fucking shit. You need to sharpen this, sharpen that before you get on stage to the Showtime special. No one said anything. Everyone just let him do what he was doing, and now everyone's trying to rewrite history many, many years later. I think that's fucking hilarious.
I watched it. I mean, I saw it, and people gave you grace because they knew that this pro athlete who was a giant was up among the best comics in the world. In the world. Maybe, by the way, put that whole lineup.
By the way, he was given grace not because they thought he was an athlete. He was given grace because at that time he was Rogan's best friend. He was probably a closer friend to Rogan at that time than Brian Callen was. Even though Brian Callen basically grew up with Rogan, right? They kind of got past the comedy store, I think, at the same time. But I think at that time, Brendan was in a very unique position. He was literally Rogan's best friend. That's why they gave him that grace, because Rogan had really taken a warming to him, you know? So yeah, that's probably why. Less so about him being an athlete.
In the pantheon of comics, in the history of...
Might be the greatest lineup ever.
I think it's the greatest lineup
at that time. You guys and the Cellar were just on, they had, and the Cellar was the East Coast version where it was like Louis, Chappelle.
Monsters.
Wow. So that era was a fucking crazy time.
It was a renaissance, dude.
Exactly, Diana. Exactly, Diana. He took an ill approach. Didn't practice cadence. No effort in joke writing. He just did Brendan that makes Joseph laugh. Exactly, and that's the thing that always I'm a big believer. I'm a big fucking believer in using every advantage, every privilege that you're given to make it work. I'm a big believer in that. I don't think there's only one way to do things. I think however way you get in, you make it work for yourself. But once you get in, you make it work for yourself. You do the fucking work. And it always surprised me, his approach to comedy, because it didn't feel like he noticed or he respected or understood the blessing, the fucking opportunities he was given and how fucking rare it was for most people. Because he didn't take advantage of them. He didn't actually get his foot in the door and then was like, okay, cool, I don't belong here, but I'm going to work now. I'm going to fucking work on my writing. I'm going to work on my fucking stage presence. I'm going to work on my jokes. It didn't seem like he did that at all. Like Diana said, he just, just kept doing the bare minimum, basically. And it was surprised by the end results. Oh, why are they not laughing? Why are people saying my special is terrible? It's like, brother, you're starting from a real big disadvantage. You're starting stand up in your mid-30s, having never done stand up before, having never been a funny guy before. you have probably more work to do than anybody has ever done when it comes to comedy. So you really have to approach it in a probably methodical way, in a very, have a lot of intent behind the things that you do. And he didn't. He just went through the motions, did the bare minimum. Of course, it kind of worked in one point because he was really in it for the money. But it's a really fascinating fucking era that whole time. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a
2015
crazy
to
fucking
2020.
time.
I would look in that room and I was like, motherfucker, here we go.
Some of the best nights of all time.
For $24.
Just funny. But I don't know. Aside from all those rants, right? Does anybody think this is a weird way to conduct a podcast? Obviously, for me, this is fun. I don't mind this. But if you're a fan, imagine listening every single week to like a in memoriam, essentially, right? An in memoriam, a therapy session where they kind of go over the past. It's kind of sad, isn't it? This show sometimes, objectively speaking, like reminiscing. Like even Brendan just said there, it was honestly the best of times, the best. Like he's even thinking back to how good it was, the best of times. It's like, brother, let's look forward to the future. Let's make the best of times now, innit? Let's not like spend the majority of the pod reminiscing on how good things were, how much money we made, and how successful we once were, and top 5 podcasts. It's like, bro, you're not there anymore, innit? You're not there at that level anymore. Do you really want to remind yourself about that?
I'm saying even for us, I mean, it was such a fun time.
We were part of something really, really.
Oh yeah, I look
historic.
back on those times.
At that time, I was at LOL Comedy Club and time.
What did Brendan say? I look back on those times. What did he say? I look back on those times.
Of something really, really.
Oh yeah, I look
historic.
back on those times.
At that time, I was at LOL.
They miss it so badly, innit? They missed that era. They took it for granted, I think. I think deep down, I think they both accept they took it for granted, especially Brendan. I think he really took for granted the access and the proximity that he had to Rogan. Like the fact that he was Rogan's favorite. The fact that he was performing at all the fucking big comedy clubs in LA. The fact that he was in that fucking in the middle of that Rogan sphere, in the middle of that fucking group. He really took it for granted. He abused his influence, his, let's say, quote unquote, power, whatever position. And he pissed a lot of people off, bullied a lot of people, was a douchebag to a lot of people, tried to fuck a lot of people's wives and girlfriends, clearly. And, burned a lot of bridges. And now here they are on the mezzanine floor in a car garage somewhere in Austin, Texas. Like, that fall off that must hurt, man.